Do you hear me well? Great. How do I? Oh, yes. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for being at this conference. I'm going to talk about why free cities are good for the planet. These people tell you that private developers are evil, that capitalism is cutting our trees and destroying our planet, that more states means greener cities. Nothing can be further from the truth. And by the way, this is how socialism destroys ecology. I was born in the USSR, so I'm talking from experience. Chernobyl is the word everyone knows, the ultimate man-made disaster. But there are many more catastrophic incidents caused or amplified by central planning. What about capitalism? Well, capitalism allows us to vote with our feet and our purse. Look at this survey. Most people, when asked searching for a home, said that living next to a green area, green space, is more important than basically all other factors. Commuting distances, schools, hospitals, shops, restaurants. If you give people a choice to vote with their feet, they will vote green. And capitalism gives us this choice. You may say, why is she telling us all that? We already know it. And I'm not here to preach to the choir, but to give you the ammunition of some sort. Because the environmental argument against private development and free cities is one of the most widespread and most powerful. And here is how you can argue back. This is the city of Irvine in Orange County, California. Irvine is a very special place for two reasons. If you look at practically any metrics, it is a paradise on earth. Top 10 happiest city, here's Irvine. Top 3 safest in the US, yes, FBI put Irvine at number 1. Top 10 healthiest, top 10 greenest, here's Irvine once again. How's that possible? And here's the second great fact about Irvine. It was built entirely privately. Let's travel back in history. This is James Irvine, son of an Irish immigrant who fled the famine in Ireland and got rich during the gold rush in California, bought a huge stretch of land, which became known as the Irvine Range. For generations, the Irvine family have been growing oranges here, hence the name Orange County, until the 1950s. What happened in America in the 1950s? The baby boom. The population skyrocketed, and they needed a lot more new homes. And the Irvine company decided, oranges are so last century, let's get into real estate. And actually, you know what? We're not just going to build homes. We're going to build a brand new city. And they did. The city was named Irvine, of course, and it became a stunning success. It became the largest master planned city in the US. In the 70s, in the beginning, there were just 10,000 residents. Today, it's over 300,000. And the Irvine company still controls most of its real estate, most homes, and the land. It is the largest landowner, one of the largest employers in town. So we can safely call Irvine a semi-private city, so to say. So Irvine was already exceptionally green and walkable. But in the 2000s, the Irvine company did something very unusual. They donated 45,000 acres of their private land to the people and created one of the largest nature reserves in the US. Isn't it insane commercially? You have a massive stretch of developable land in one of the most expensive regions, and instead of building on it, you're just giving it away for free? Why would any commercial company do that? Well, because it raises the value of the homes you're selling. And it did pay off. New home prices in Irvine have grown nearly 40% more than the county average. The greener the city, the higher the real estate premium. And you may say, okay, this is California. It's for the rich people who can pay this premium. How is it going to help the poorer countries? And a lot of them, as we know, are in really deep trouble when it comes to ecology. And by the way, guess which country has the most polluted cities in the world? Any guess?
China.
No, not China? Yes. Look at this chart. 6 out of 10 most polluted cities in the world are all in one country, in India. And now look at this. Italian-style terraces, idyllic landscapes. It feels like thousands of miles away from this. But actually, it's just a few hours' drive away. This is Lavasa, probably the greenest Indian city. And it was, yes, you guessed it, built entirely privately. Homes, parks, roads, hospitals. And it is, unlike what you might be thinking, it's not a gated community. You'll be surprised, but most residents in Lavasa are the former farmers. They sold their land to the developer, the Lavasa Corporation, and in exchange they got homes in this brand new city, they got jobs, they got primary health care, an English-speaking nursery, drinking water, paved roads, all the things they could never dream of growing up in rural India. What could possibly go wrong? Enter professional eco-warriors. They started a political campaign to shut down Lavasa. And they managed to freeze the development, believe it or not, on environmental grounds. Because this is clearly much worse than this. But then something unusual happened. There were counter-protests by local people, the ex-farmers. They spoke in court and in the media saying, wait, these activists do not represent us. They are not here to make our lives better. Lavasa made our lives better. Lavasa, by the way, planted 600,000 trees, but it also planted hope, so to say. And thanks to that counter-campaign, the project, the city, was brought back to life. In free cities and private cities, sustainability is not a moral duty, it's a business strategy. You can brand a new neighborhood as a smart eco-city, you can get this LEED Platinum certificate, which is basically an Oscar of green architecture. You can use some innovative materials like bricks that capture carbon from air, and people will be lining up to buy a house from you. One more city. Living here feels a bit like living in a sci-fi. It is Songdo in South Korea, the world's largest smart city. And yes, you guessed it right, it was built privately. Residents here use smartphones to control their homes, there are sensors that monitor traffic and optimize and energy use. And Songdo is also very green. 40%, as you can see on this picture, 40% of its area is green space. It has 25 kilometers of bike lanes, water taxis, Venice-style canals, urban farms nestled between skyscrapers. And it also has a special economic zone that allowed the developer to do all these things, to implement all these things. Because private cities can test drive new green technology without waiting for permission. Look at these things. This is the Mitsubishi self-driving car, the solar tower in Seville in Spain, the wind farms outside London, and the electric buses from Abu Dhabi. What do they all have in common? They all started here in Masdar city in the United Arab Emirates. This is a smart city that's near Abu Dhabi, and it is located in a special economic zone with a special focus on green technologies. So everyone from giants like Mitsubishi or Siemens to small startups use it as a sandbox. Because you know there is no shortage of sand in the Emirates. And at first Masdar was led top down by the Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund, so it was not strictly private. But eventually the city handed most of its operation to private companies. And by the way, Zones of Progress, a documentary that was produced by the Free Cities Foundation, traveled to Masdar and interviewed some of its key executives. If you haven't watched it, I strongly recommend it. And I've been there too. And architecturally, I must tell you, it is a masterpiece. And they're using, for example, there is the thing that this is the solar panel. 1/3 of Masdar's power needs are covered by this massive solar plant, which is the largest in the Gulf region. And there is on the picture the Masdar wind catching tower. It's an ancient Arabic technique of what today in architecture we call passive cooling. The tower captures cool air from the top and directs it to the street level, so cooling it down without the use of air conditioning. And as a result, the perceived temperature in the Masdar streets is about 10 degrees cooler than in Abu Dhabi, which is just 15 minutes drive. And it's a tiny city compared to Abu Dhabi or Dubai. It's only about 5,000 people living there. But in this case, I dare say that size doesn't matter. What matters is the agility to experiment, which you usually don't get in regular cities. And here's an example everyone here knows. Prospera in Honduras. Take the circular factory. The idea is to give rural communities digital tools like robotic arms and 3D printers to build cheap, eco-friendly homes. Imagine you could create a factory like this all over the developing world. You hit many targets at once. You get more homes, you get less construction waste, local workers are acquiring new skills that are helpful in the digital economy. And you hit all these humanitarian targets without a single penny of foreign aid. As we all know, the ruling party in Honduras have been actively trying to shut the Zetas down. So, if we look at it that way, they are not just, the politicians are not just killing economic prospects of the local people, they are stifling the progress worldwide. Because in the end, it's not just about planting trees and printing timber homes. Let us zoom out and look at the planetary scale. I'm sure that this audience will not be shocked by this, but for most people, this is a big revelation. This is what's called the environmental Kuznets curve. As you can see, this is it shows you the GDP and the environmental damage. As you can see, and the first part of this graph is the well-known story. The second part is not. It's at first the GDP growth, the GDP per capita, the environmental damage per capita also grows until it drops. When the GDP per capita hits about $10,000, $15,000, the economy is making a green turn. Why? Because of innovation. Because people can afford a diesel car, then they can afford a hybrid car, then they switch to electric car. First they cook their food using coal, then they switch to gas, then electricity. As they get richer, they can afford a greener lifestyle. So if we want a greener planet, we need to support economic growth. And free cities are doing just that. Look at Shenzhen. Went from a fishing village into a mega city within a single generation, thanks to its special economic zone status. And by the way, data from China shows that firms operating from special economic zones file about 17% more green patents. These zones actively stimulate green innovation, which has a spillover effect on the rest of the country and the rest of the world. Prosperity leads to cleaner air. Most people still believe that private developers have a short planning horizon. In reality, it's the opposite. In economics, there is a process that's called internalizing externalities. If one developer owns the whole city, they feel the long-term effect of good or bad decisions. So they have a financial reason to keep the city green. And so they invest in nature reserves, plant trees, protect animal habitats, not because of ideology, but because it pays. Because people want to live in green cities. And sustainability then becomes not a regulatory burden, but a competitive advantage. Look at the projects represented at this conference. Most of them have this green element in them. In free cities, green design sells at a premium, and freedom creates more space for innovation. Private cities become test beds for green design. Timber construction, smart grids, 3D printed homes. These free cities are already testing what the rest of the world is still debating. Because in the end, innovation, green innovation, don't need subsidies. They just need permission. So, if we want cleaner cities, we need to clear the way. So, let's vote with our feet and give green innovation a green light. Thank you. We do have time for questions, right? One question.
Thank you. Well, something that in Morazan is really hard to overcome. We have green, residents love it, but it is entrepreneurs to come and trust us that we will do the best for them so they can grow in Morazan, because they are afraid of the regulations of the government or retaliations. How you can tell that will become in the future better? Like you say, Irving becomes an entrepreneur community, but as well they got the retaliation from the government.
Can't say I heard the question very well.
The question is how we can overcome in the green cities, in this idea that we have and that we're making in Morazan, for example, entrepreneur communities to grow up. Because we have the green, we are doing that part well, but in overcoming businesses, in growing in businesses, how you say that we can overcome that in the future?
Did you understand the question?
In your perspective.
How do we get more businesses to be green?
Yeah.
I think a lot of it boils down to the community spirit. If the city developer sets this, well, I don't want to say agenda because agenda has a bad connotation, but sets this trend, then most of the people relocating to the city will be valuing it, and then it will be a positive kind of feedback loop. Because residents will be, well, as we saw, residents already place the green environment on top of everything else when they're choosing for homes. But if you create a city for which it's part of the brand, then the businesses opening up there will know that, if they want to be popular, if they want to earn money, if they want to be popular among the residents, the local people, then they will also have to care about the environment.
As of now, do you happen to know how many free private cities exist at the moment which are ready to live or move in? How many free cities in the world are there at the moment? Do you know?
It depends on the definition. Yeah, it's not exactly related to my talk, but the question was how many free cities exist in the world. Depends on your definition, but there is a service that we at the community, Free Cities Foundation have created, the Free Communities Map, the Free Communities Directory. This is where you can see them all on the map, but every year we're gathering here, there are more names added on this map and added to this, more pioneers added to this audience. So today might be dozens, next year might be hundreds.
I can give a rough indication. So we have a free communities directory that has 15 projects in total. The ones that you can move into and buy an apartment in, we have Ciudad Morazan and Prospera, which are fully developed special economic zones. We also have Crypto City, which you've heard from, which is special economic zone status, so it's got a distinct legal status from the rest of the country. It's under construction, but it's going to get developed soon. And then on top of that, we've got places like Veritas Villages. If you were here last year, you will have heard of Liberstad in Norway, Montelibro in Montenegro. These places you can move into. You can buy or rent a place. They don't have special legally autonomous status, but that's, I guess, the holy grail that we're working towards. And we've just heard Destiny announced in Nevis. We've heard from Tidus about the Brunei project. So I'm hoping that we can increase that number to, I guess, 5, 6, 7 by next year's conference. But 100, yes. Let's be ambitious. But yeah, there's 15 projects in our directory.
Thank you.
There's 15 projects.